For over the past 30 years, the Browning newsletter has used historical climatology to provide our clients with information on potential future weather patterns. This information is given so that our clients may make informed decisions to improve their farm, their ranch, their business, or their investments. Before you is a short presentation on how this is done, and I now would like to introduce to you Evelyn Browning-Garriss, co-owner of the Browning newsletter.
Thank you. The key to understanding climate is to follow the energy, from the sun through the skies to the surface of the earth. You see, the sun produces the energy that is used by the global weather system. Clouds, be they weather clouds or clouds of volcanic ash and pollution, block the incoming sunlight. And once that energy reaches the earth, it's stored in oceans or it's trapped by man-made greenhouse gases. Follow the energy. Find where it's landing, find where it is, and you have the key to understanding climate. This is what I study. As a historical climatologist, I look at what factors are shaping the weather, and then I go through my records. According to scientists, we have up to 100,000 years of year-to-year weather records if we use tree rings, glacier cores, written records. I tell my clients what happened 80% of the time, and when they make decisions, they make informed decisions with perspective. I remember years ago when one of my clients, a Canadian, called. He was complaining because he had a foot of snow in his field and it was only the third week of August. I had to explain to him that the reason his crops were dying is because a year before, a volcano had erupted in the Philippines, thousands of miles away. You see, when a volcano is large enough, it puts its debris so high in the air that it doesn't settle back down. Instead, it drifts in the air for 1 to 3 years, blocking out incoming sunlight. It gathers water and forms thick clouds, and when those clouds finally precipitate out, they rain out in super heavy rains, heavy blizzards. That's what happened when Pinatubo blew up in the Philippines. And that's what's been happening this year. That's why this winter has been so strange. Let me show you. Back in 2011, 2 large volcanoes exploded, one in the North Atlantic, one in the North Pacific, and their debris has been cooling the Arctic for years now. In fact, last summer was the coldest summer in the Arctic ever recorded. It was so cold that the sea ice was 60% larger at the end of the melting season than it had been the year before. I warned my clients, if it's cold there in summer, it's going to be cold here in the winter. Back in 2012, the winds around the Arctic were so strong that they trapped all that cold air north. But this year, the winds were weaker. And the Arctic air that had been building up for 2 years surged south. We saw the polar vortex, and we felt how cold it was. Let's look at another part of the equation. Oceans cover 70% of the Earth's surface, so that's where most of the heat and the energy is stored. It's carried around by the different currents, whether it's the smaller currents, like the MJO that only lasts 4 to 6 weeks, or larger ones, like those in the Indian Oceans, the monsoons that you can find all around the world, the El Nino, La Nina, the huge 50-year cycle in the Pacific, or the even larger one in the Atlantic. Just realize, all of these cycles work together like gears in a watch, and as they move together, they shape the global climate. If you want to know why weather has been so strange recently, one of these large cycles, the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, changed. We had 20 to 30 years to get used to one pattern, and in 2006, this pattern tipped. And now we're facing some very different weather, a new normal. Using all these methods, I was able to warn my clients last September how cold this winter would be. Look at the Great Lakes. This March, they were 92.2% covered with ice. Look at the pattern that has dominated this winter. Volcanically cooled air has surged unusually far south. It's crashed into the warm, wet air along the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic, creating heavy snowstorms. Meanwhile, on the other side of the continent, the changes in the Pacific currents have helped to create what Western weathermen are calling the ridiculously resilient ridge. What they mean is the jet stream has been pushed so far north that it is blocking incoming cold fronts. It is blocking rainstorms, leaving California baked and dry in a record-breaking drought.
On November 1st, 2013, Evelyn was able to submit to her clients a map detailing the probable outcome of midwinter's weather. Near the end of January, the National Weather Service also submitted a map of their own, showing what the January weather had been like. As you can see, the maps are very similar. Evelyn's map came 3 months ahead of time, and this allowed her clients to have 3 months to prepare for what turned out to be a record-breaking winter. A month later, in her December 1st, 2013 newsletter, Evelyn submitted a second map to her clients, this one detailing the late winter weather's probable pattern. Near the end of February, the National Weather Service submitted their map, showing what the outcome of February's winter had been, and once again the maps were very similar. Again, Evelyn's clients had 3 months to prepare for a winter that, as it turns out, not only broke records, but was one of the coldest in the past 100 years. Finally, in the beginning of March, the National Weather Service announced an El Niño watch for the summer of 2014. In Evelyn's September 1st, 2013 newsletter, she was already advising her clients of a potential for an El Niño for the following summer. This El Niño holds great importance, as it could break the cycle of dry weather that is occurring in the western United States. So over the past 6 months, Evelyn's clients, with at least a 2 to 3 month advance notice, have known that the western United States was going to remain dry during the winter and the spring, but that there was a high potential for an El Niño that could break that cycle in the summer of 2014. We would like to thank you for taking the time to watch our short presentation. If you visit us on browningnewsletter.com, you will find the services provided by the Browning Newsletter, as well as the ability to download a free sample of our newsletter. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Alex Siegel at alex@browningnewsletter.com, and our Twitter handle is @ClimateWhisper. Thank you very much.